Think about how you're watching this right now. Your device is pulling invisible data from a server located potentially hundreds, maybe thousands of miles away. It's this incredible, invisible architecture that we rely on every single second of the day, yet we rarely stop to think about the staggering fragility of the web that's literally holding our modern civilization together. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to dive deep into a highly detailed, fascinating scenario. What would happen if, mid-sentence, that connection just stopped? We're going to track the immediate collapse and then the startling transformation of human civilization when the global internet permanently vanishes.
So, picture this. It's 9:17 in the morning on a totally random Tuesday. This isn't a slowdown, it's not some temporary glitch or a localized fiber cut or a cell tower going down for maintenance. The internet just completely universally disappears. Let's start right at the exact moment the screens go blank. The apocalypse you see doesn't actually begin with a bang. It begins with the collective frustration of a buffering icon. Millions of people are sitting in coffee shops, riding the subway, or right in the middle of a crucial Zoom call. At first, billions of people do exactly what you or I would do. They restart their phones, they reset their routers, they try toggling their cellular data, and they just wait. 5 minutes pass, then 10, then 30. Now, while the general public is mostly just annoyed that they can't load up their social feeds, a very, very different scene is unfolding deep inside military command centers, global banks, and tech headquarters. Red lights are literally flashing. Alarms are blaring in server farms all over the world. Network engineers are frantically running diagnostics, completely unable to ping outside servers. And it's here, after just 30 minutes of absolute, deafening digital silence, that a terrifying realization hits government and tech leaders. The realization is absolute, and it changes human history in an instant. This is not an outage. The internet is gone, and it may never come back. Let's trace this initial shockwave across the first 24 hours. We move incredibly fast, from quiet confusion to widespread structural panic. You see, during hour one, the world still feels strangely normal. The physical world hasn't vanished, electricity still flows, water still runs from the tap, cars are still driving around. But as we push toward hour 6 and into day 1, those invisible links holding our physical world together begin to aggressively snap. The illusion of normalcy just crumbles. Looking at these immediate failures, you can literally see the system evaporating right before our eyes. Take financial markets, for example. Modern stock exchanges don't rely on humans yelling at each other on a trading floor anymore, right? They depend entirely on ultra-fast digital networks executing trades in mere milliseconds. Within that very first hour, global trading locks up completely, freezing trillions of dollars in place. Millions of remote workers are suddenly staring at error screens, leaving multinational corporations completely blind. And even in our own homes, the impact is jarring. Smart home devices stop responding, suddenly locking people out of their own front doors or failing to regulate the heat. Just 6 hours. That's all it takes for a mere inconvenience to completely fracture the foundation of global logistics. This brilliantly illustrates a brutal domino effect. Planes don't magically fall from the sky, but the incredibly complex systems that coordinate them, they shatter entirely. A plane might land safely, sure, but the software assigning it a gate is completely dead. Payment terminals at your local coffee shop fail, which forces this chaotic, sudden pivot to cash. But that cash runs out fast as panicked crowds swarm local ATMs, only to find the machines can't verify their account balances anyway. Out on the highways, thousands of delivery trucks are still driving, but the central routing systems telling them where to drop their cargo are totally blind. The gears of commerce simply stop turning. So, by the 24-hour mark, we hit a critical psychological breaking point. The uncertainty of not knowing why the internet broke becomes just as dangerous as the event itself. Emergency broadcasts over traditional radio and TV are telling people to stay calm, but no engineer on Earth actually knows how to fix it. Because the internet isn't just one machine you can unplug and plug back in, it's millions of connected servers, oceanic cables, and satellites. Without knowing the cause, word-of-mouth rumors become the only real news source. Wild conspiracy theories spread block by block, and that leads to localized panic. People immediately start clearing out grocery stores, hoarding food, fuel, and vital medicines. By day 3, we are forced to confront a really jarring new reality. Let's compare the hyper-fast world we knew against a world where information suddenly moves slower than physical goods. In the world before, data moved at the literal speed of light. That guaranteed a factory got its specialized parts just in time, or a supermarket got perfectly fresh produce exactly when it was needed. But without the web, that speed is completely gone. If we look closely at this breakdown, we see modern cities, which, let's be honest, are essentially just enormous, fragile, interconnected machines, begin to falter.
Take just-in-time logistics. A modern supermarket only holds about 3 days of food inventory because they rely on predictive algorithms to automatically restock them. When the algorithm dies, the shelves empty almost overnight, forcing strict rationing. Hospitals, which normally rely on vast digital ecosystems for medical records and prescriptions, are suddenly forced to revert to paper charts. That dramatically slows down care and makes critical mistakes way more likely. Factories grind to a complete halt because out of the thousands of parts they need to build a car, they can't track down a single missing microchip.
By the end of the first week, a profound realization washes over civilization. Humanity stops waiting for normal to return and actually begins the painful process of adapting to a radically smaller world. People realize this is the new baseline. Local governments introduce emergency laws, debts are temporarily frozen, mostly because nobody can process a mortgage payments anyway. But we also see the incredible ingenuity of humanity kick in. Physical bulletin boards are erected in town squares, printing presses start running around the clock to create physical community newspapers, and amateur ham radio operators, they suddenly become the new critical heroes of regional communication. Think about the striking contrast here. Just days prior, we had this massive global awareness. You could literally see what someone ate for breakfast in Tokyo from your couch in New York, right? You knew the minute-by-minute geopolitical drama of a country across the ocean. But now it's all about local awareness. You've absolutely no idea what's happening 1,000 miles away. But for the first time in perhaps decades, you intimately know the names of the people living on your street. Neighbors are actually forced to talk to each other to share resources and news. The entire world fundamentally shrinks to the radius of how far you can walk or drive on limited fuel. Let's step back and look at the macro timeline. As days bleed into months and years, that initial panic subsides, making way for deep, structural consequences that fundamentally alter the global economy and daily human life. Notice how the global network completely fragments into thousands of isolated digital islands. This rapidly reverses decades of hyperglobalization. Multinational corporations simply cannot coordinate across borders anymore. Think about your smartphone for a second. It might have parts manufactured in 40 different countries, all coordinated by massive cloud databases. Without that coordination, building complex electronics becomes virtually impossible. Countries that can manufacture locally and grow their own food gain massive advantages. In response, governments and militaries start furiously laying independent cables to build their own closed, highly secure private communication networks. By month 3, the economic shock forces hundreds of millions of people to violently transition from behind screens back to physical, essential labor. Entire industries, cloud computing, social media algorithms, digital marketing, app development, they vanish completely overnight. Suddenly, being a viral influencer isn't exactly a viable career path, but knowing how to repair a physical diesel engine, plumb a house, or grow potatoes makes you incredibly valuable. To prevent total societal collapse, governments have to launch massive employment programs. We see this extraordinary boom in local repair shops, manual agriculture, and the triumphant return of physical print media. This brings us to a really fascinating cultural shift that psychologists dub the waiting era. Younger generations experience something completely foreign to them. They actually have to wait. Waiting days for a physical letter from a friend, waiting for the scheduled evening news broadcast to find out what happened that day, waiting for a physical movie to be available to rent. That instant gratification we all took for granted is totally gone. But interestingly, scientists note that the dopamine receptors in the human brain actually begin to heal during this era. The constant, exhausting barrage of instant notifications is finally silenced. Half a decade later, the dust has largely settled. The physical infrastructure of society has stabilized, and this fierce geopolitical race begins to rebuild global connectivity. Everyone wants the network back. But why did it take 5 years? Well, because it takes an immense amount of time and physical labor to lay entirely new oceanic cables and build secure localized internets from scratch that don't rely on the old broken web. And more importantly, nobody can agree on what the new network should actually look like. What eventually emerges from the ashes isn't a single worldwide web. It's a heavily fractured splinternet. Different ideological and corporate factions compete aggressively to establish their own gated, regulated networks. Democratic alliances build one system, prioritizing free commerce. Authoritarian regimes build another, tightly controlled network, prioritizing surveillance and stability. Meanwhile, massive private corporations launch their own proprietary satellite grids available only to paid subscribers, while global universities quietly piece together open, non-commercial research networks. This quote perfectly captures the new geopolitical reality. Choosing which network to join becomes just as critical as your physical geography. You aren't just casually connecting to a web anymore, you're aligning with a specific political and economic territory. Sending an email from a democratic network to a family member inside an authoritarian one, it's not instantaneous anymore. That message has to pass through complex digital customs, it's heavily regulated, search for prohibited keywords, often taxed, and frequently delayed by days. A decade out, we see a profound generational shift in perspective. A 10-year-old growing up in this era hears stories of a magical, borderless time when anyone could talk to absolutely anyone instantly. But they also hear about the terrifying vulnerabilities, right? The rampant cybercrime, the mass surveillance, the psychological manipulation of social media algorithms. To them, the old internet sounds like an uncontrolled Wild West. They view it the exact same way we might view the lack of seatbelts in cars from the 1950s, with a mix of awe and sheer horror at how unregulated and profoundly dangerous it was.
And that brings us to an incredible historical climax. The moment humanity is finally ready to officially merge these fragmented regional networks and bring a true global internet back online. The top engineers have finally figured out the protocols, the deep-sea cables are linked, the global servers are prepped. But the button itself carries immense philosophical weight. It's not just a technical achievement, it's a monumental choice to consciously open Pandora's box a second time, fully aware of the consequences.
As we walk through these final steps of the countdown, the suspense across the globe is palpable. People truly understand the weight of what's about to happen. Millions gather around physical radios and public screens. 10, 9, 8. Humanity remembers exactly how cripplingly dependent it used to be. 7, 6, 5. They remember the addiction and the viral disinformation, but they also remember the incredible, breathtaking beauty of true global unity. 4, 3, 2, 1. The network goes online. Continent by continent, the lights blink green. Messages instantly travel across the globe once more.
I want to leave you with this final, profound thought to consider today. Surviving this sudden collapse of our digital world was one thing. Human adaptability is absolutely incredible. But how will we choose to rebuild it? Humanity proved it could survive in the dark without the internet. The real test is whether we can build it again without falling back into the exact same vulnerabilities that made our civilization so fragile in the first place. Next time you connect to a Wi-Fi network or just casually refresh your feed, take a second to appreciate those fragile, invisible threads holding our entire world together. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.